Okay, good morning and welcome, folks, to a special eCampus Ontario EdTech Sandbox webinar, Unlocking the Power of Digital Credentials with BCdiploma. My name is Michael Krobach, Micro-Credentials Program Lead at eCampus Ontario, and I'm delighted to be your host for today. We invite you to say hello and share where you're joining us from in the chat. My colleague Deanna is here today to support with question facilitation. Please feel free to share your questions in the chat throughout today's webinar. We'll come to them at the end of the session. If you'd like to turn on closed captioning, please use the CC button in your Zoom controls. This session is being recorded, and a link to the recording will be shared with registrants following the conclusion of today's webinar. I'd like to begin today with a land acknowledgement. I am hosting this session from my home in Brampton. As a settler of Polish, Austrian, and Croatian descent, I'm grateful to have the privilege to live and learn on this traditional territory. I recognize that this is a virtual space, and so many of you may be joining us from different lands. If you're a settler, I encourage you to take some time out of your day to reflect on the land that you're on and your relationship to traditional lands. We have an exciting agenda for today's webinar. I'll begin by introducing you to eCampus Ontario and our EdTech Sandbox platform. I'll then turn things over to our three speakers, Alexis, Kostuba, and Jen. Together, they'll tell us about the BCdiploma platform, how it works, and how it's being used at the G. Raymond Chang School of Continuing Education at Toronto Metropolitan University. Alexis and Kostuba will also share how you can pilot BCdiploma at your institution through our EdTech Sandbox at no cost for 12 months. We'll end today with questions and a brief survey, which Deanna will share in the chat. eCampus Ontario is a not-for-profit membership-based organization funded by the Ministry of Colleges, Universities, Research Excellence, and Security. We convene the entirety of the public post-secondary education sector, representing all publicly assisted universities, colleges, and Indigenous institutes in the province, and work to build digital by design educator and learner-centric experiences. We provide our members with platforms, programs, and services that are responsive to shifts and opportunities in the education and employment landscape. We play a critical role in championing and advancing digital participation in post-secondary education, helping to grow the economy and sustain the sector by connecting Ontario's post-secondary institutions and students to the future of learning and the future of work. One of our key goals is to promote the use of educational technologies, and we do this through the EdTech Sandbox. Found at sandbox.ecampusontario.ca, the EdTech Sandbox is a safe space for institutions to experiment with educational technology tools that support digital transformation. The Sandbox helps educators discover new tools, pilot them for the short term, and explore their pedagogical potential, review their capabilities through our standard assessments, and adopt technologies by accessing community support channels, resources, and product information. We're pleased to share that BCdiploma has recently joined our Sandbox as a supplier, and as part of our new work together, we've deployed a new digital credentials wallet. This platform provides safe, secure, and mobile-friendly access to store open badge compliant digital credentials using blockchain technology. You can store your own badges or share the tool with your learners to get them started on building their own badge portfolios. The QR code here links us to the new digital credentials wallet. So I'm delighted to welcome our three speakers for today's session. Alexis Berlotti is the COO and co-founder of BCdiploma. He is joined by his colleague, Kostuba Mishra, International Sales Manager. And we're very excited to have our valued member institution, Toronto Metropolitan University, represented in today's session. Jen Gordon is the Program Director, Micro-Credentials in the G. Raymond Chang School of Continuing Education. Welcome, Alexis, Kostuba, and Jen. Over to you.
Hello, thank you, Michael. Thanks a lot. Let me start sharing my screen. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. We are really pleased to have you today in this session, during which I will introduce BCdiploma solution and explain what are the possibilities offered by the platform. Then we will have Jen's testimonial regarding the use of BCdiploma at the Chang School, at the G. Raymond Chang School, sorry. Then we will have a live demo performed by Kostub, and Kostub will end our presentation by introducing the 12-month pilot offered through the EdTech Sandbox. So let's go for the presentation of BCdiploma. So just a quick reminder about digital credentials. I'm sure you know that a digital version of credentials are becoming a norm. This because we need in our digital world more recognition. Institutions need a way to recognize the achievement of their learners. Also for learners, it's important to have a digital version of their credential to share them, to gain invisibility regarding their certificates and attestations. And of course, a digital credential will bring a security level and a verifiability level. This is important in this digital world to have a version of credentials we can verify. So here is BCdiploma solution, just an helicopter view about who we are. So we are a French solution. We built BCdiploma back in 2017. And yes, after these 7-8 years of existence, we are pretty happy with the traction of the solution because we work with more than 250 institutions across 25 countries. Our main sector is the higher education. We work with a lot of institutions in Europe, in North America, but also in other countries. We also work with training centers, awarding bodies, and certificators, and also with internal academies in big institutions, in big companies. We can observe the explosion of these internal academies. So this is who is BCdiploma. And now I just want to jump directly into the product because this is the most interesting part for you. So BCdiploma is a 360 digital credential solution allowing to issue different types of credentials. Basically, we have and we offer 3 main types of credentials. So the first family of credential is what we call the custom credentials. Here we have the possibility to build any kind of digital credential template to reproduce existing documents or to innovate. And this is really powerful because we don't have any limitation in terms of design, but also in terms of content. So we can produce an attestation of degree, a digital degree. We can do also diploma supplement, transcripts attestation. You will decide what you want to build with your digital credentials. And regarding the content, of course, we can display all the content you want to display. And inside the content, we can define all the parameters you want to display for each learner. So this is totally flexible. You just have to specify your models, to send us your specifications, and our team will integrate your templates for you. Then we will validate the template together. So this is the first product, the custom credentials. Then we have the badges, also known as micro credentials, micro certificates. It's important to know that here we respect open badges standards, and these certificates have some mandatory categories of information, such as the outcomes, the competencies obtained, the earning criteria. So this solution is less flexible in terms of content configuration, but Kostub will show you that you can brand your micro-credential templates according to your visual identity, according to your brand. And because we have this standard category of information, from your backend application, you have the possibility to build totally autonomously your micro-credential templates. So same thing, Kostub will show you quickly how to create a micro-credential template through BCdiploma platform. And the last product is really interesting, the learning pathway, because here you have the possibility to stack micro-credentials accessible from a final certificate. So we will also demo this product. It's really convenient for end users, for recipients, because they can just share their final certificate on their LinkedIn profile, for instance. And from this link, by accessing the final certificate, you have a pathway button allowing to consult all the badges, all the micro-credentials obtained that are part of this program. So it's a really comprehensive product, giving access to the detail of each course of the program. So for anyone who wants to assess the skills of the student and to know what the student learned through this program, it's a really interesting product to consider. And good news, this product is included also in the pilot offered by eCampusOntario and BCdiploma. So we'll conclude the presentation with this pilot offer in detail. We also offer peripheral products and services, such as the ready-to-print feature. You have the possibility with BCdiploma to unify the process to issue digital and paper certificates. So from BCdiploma, you can prepare your digital credentials, but also your files ready to be printed to issue paper certificates or paper attestations. You have also the possibility to attach existing documents to your digital credentials that can be downloaded from the digital credential. And also additional features such as the Web3 and NFT credentials, bringing innovative services, even if it's a bit early, and this is not the topic of today's session. To issue credentials from BCdiploma, you have access to an administration platform. It's a web app, really easy to use. No technical skill is required to use BCdiploma, because Costub will show you that you just have to import Excel spreadsheet with learners' data to issue in 2 clicks your digital credentials. So you can work from our web application, but of course, everything you can do from our application can be interfaced through API in case you have an important volume of credentials, or if you want to streamline your processes, you can integrate easily BCdiploma through API. And for learners, they will receive just a link, just a URL to access their credential. And the URL will be valid with no time limit because we rely on blockchain technology. Your data will be safely secured on the blockchain itself. It will be encrypted, so we can't modify your data, your credentials, and your credentials will be accessible with no time limit. So thanks a lot. It was a really brief introduction about BCdiploma. Costub will do a complete demo of the platform, but I want to keenly ask Jen to take the lead in this session. Thanks a lot, Jen, for your participation in this webinar, and the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm just going to share my screen. Just give me one moment. There we are. I think everyone can see it in there. So thank you for having me here today. I'm Jen Gordon. I'm the program director for microcredentials portfolio at the Chang School. And so I'm just going to share a little bit about our story of how the Chang School and BCdiploma work together to establish a recognition system for a new product line that we were launching and continue to run. And so in order to do that, I just wanted to share just a little bit about the uniqueness of our program, because that really did inform the credentialing solution which we needed to employ there. So our program is inspired by a two-pronged problem that are faced by adult learners and employers. The employers are always wondering, do I have the right person for the job? How do I know that they can do the work or have the skill sets there? The learner on the other side is, how strong of a candidate am I? How do I know I have mastery of that particular competency? How can I prove it? And so the microcredential has to have that ability to provide that proof that someone can perform a task or activity that has value in the marketplace. Essentially, it's closing that gap there between organizational leaders, managers, and recruiters, and learning and development units. And so for us at the Chang School, traditional courses, certificates, and degree programs are really designed to support intellectual expansion through depth and breadth, whereas the value of the microcredential is distinctly different. It focuses in on precision through acquisition or validation, which is a vital element we needed to keep in mind as we explored credentialing solutions. And so the Curve microcredential program really, and one thing I want to highlight here is for us, one microcredential to one competency mapping. So it really needed to have that level of precision in the solution which we employed. And all of this is grounded through quality assurance, through academic approval processes governed by Senate policy. And so the last element here, Senate policy, was key for us. Before even exploring credential providers, we needed to ensure that there was a shared understanding of what a microcredential, microcertificate, a digital artifact actually was. And so there was a collaborative institution-wide collaboration and consultation that occurred to ensure that we're all speaking that same language. And it allowed us to really take that step back because we had to decide, do we explore a centralized solution or a decentralized solution? And what I mean by centralized is it's a credentialing issuing system that is central to the university, meaning the university uses one system and or is a system that it's adopting from an institutional perspective. Whereas a decentralized is a system that you're just leveraging independently. So for example, the Chang School working with BCdiploma. And so now that we had to consider, okay, what was available, and there was a centralized solution available to us. So we wanted to look and we asked ourselves some questions. We had to start with our needs there and what our core in the Curve microcredential program needs to be able to do in that proof of precision. And so we really needed to consider all the users here, from the learners, the employers, and of course, administration perspective. So we had some key questions. This is just a snapshot of some of the elements that we were thinking about, but it didn't lead us to pilot a centralized solution that we had here at TMU, because there was opportunity to see if we could use it. There's infrastructure that existed, cost considerations were a factor, and perhaps, the consistency and look and feel with other digitally delivered credentials within the institution itself. And so these next two slides are just going to show just a feature sort of highlight of some of the comparison elements in which we were looking at when considering a centralized versus a decentralized solution. And within the pilot, our centralized solution did reveal a lot of challenges. A major one, including restrictions on the labeling of the fields for the credential itself. For example, we couldn't change the words badge issue to, and also users had to create logins and passwords to even access their credentials. And so when we were taking a step back and looking at was this meeting our needs of a learner from an employer perspective, and then from an administration perspective, we were doubting that the centralized solution could meet our full needs there. And so I did want to also provide from an analytics perspective, that's also really important for us to be able to dig into how, the digital artifacts are being leveraged, from how many emails that, learners actually open and access and share, and being able to have that at the touch of our fingers there from an administration standpoint. So based on this analysis, it was clear that the centralized solution just wasn't meeting our needs. And so it really led us to engage with BCdiploma. And so working with BCdiploma was very seamless. We were able to quickly pivot from the previous solution into this one. We were able to create the customized features that we needed, all from the email, communication and language, the ability to integrate with existing systems to streamline our administration burden and to appropriately scale. We were from a learner perspective, the ease in which the quick and easy share features, that was a key element there from a learner and then from the employer element. The ability to really dive in and articulate the depth and breadth of the skills and the competencies for, higher level certifications. And this is an example of a micro certificate where it's a combination of at least 2 or more micro credentials themselves. And so the key here for working with BCdiploma is that because we were able to, it allowed us to really embed in depth these verifiable insights into the achievements. And that was key because we needed to, and the core tenet of what the Curve Micro-Credential program is that proof of ability that has value in the workplace. It needed to be transparent for the employer perspective because it does carry that value there. And so another feature here, and that was core to us that we didn't have access to in the other solution, was that because our micro-credentials are a measure of one's competency at a point in time, an expiry date needed to be present on the actual credential itself, which we were able to customize. Nuances in such minor aspects like that were so important to us and vital for this particular, for our decision to go with BCdiploma. So that's all I had today. I just wanted to share just briefly, our experience, how we actually got there, and we're, pleased with how we're working with BCdiploma and being able to fully expand our new product line and continually increase the number of micro-credentials, micro-certificates, and other forms of recognition with this particular decentralized solution. So that's all I had. So I'm just going to stop sharing and pass it back over for the demo.
Thanks a lot, Jen. Kustub, up to you, please.
All right, thank you, Alex. And thank you to Jen for such a nice global helicopter overview of the project. And we'll be touching on some of those points that she mentioned and also some that you mentioned, Alex, as we go through the back end, some examples. And yeah, just a bit of a warning, there will be a lot of information coming your way. So feel free to write your questions in the chat, which we can address at the end of the webinar. So having said that, I will be sharing my screen and right. I hope it's visible to everyone. Just get rid of these.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Just going to move this right here. Okay, lovely. So the way I wanted to start is with a feature which would be a requirement, which is shareability. You really want your credentials that have been issued to the learners to be shared on social media platforms. So I thought, why not get started over there? So as you can see in front of your screen, this was a student at Stanford online. We work with multiple schools over there with the Center for Professional Development, the School of Medicine, and a few others. And that's where I wanted to get started. So we see a learner who's shared their certificate. And in order to save time, I've sort of already clicked on the certificate over here, which has led me to a URL right here. So this, what you see in front of your screen, and Alex alluded to this earlier, is a custom credential. And the litmus test that I like to use here at BCdiploma for a custom credential is that there should be no mention of BCdiploma in any way, shape, or form on your screen. So as you see here, you've got the credential on a Stanford domain with their logo / picture, their student, their course, and as I mentioned, just going back to the litmus test, that there's no mention of BCdiploma in any way, shape, or form. And henceforth, this qualifies as a custom white labeled credential. Now, speaking of white labeling, I did want to talk a little bit more about the domain itself. So it just sort of does multiple things for us over here. Number one, provides a legitimacy that this particular credential has been issued by Stanford, because as you can see, it's on a stanford.edu domain. Now, there is no way to fake this domain. If someone did try to do that, there would have to be a double D or maybe a W over here. So it really ensures that. Secondly, again, going back to the whole customization aspect, right, just sort of provides you a layer of customization where you've got no sort of third-party branding on the screen. Right, so just wanted to bring your attention to that, and I will be moving more towards, or rather between custom credentials, also badges and also pathways. So once again, if there are any specific questions, feel free to include them in the chat and we will address them at the end of the webinar. So the reason this credential is so interesting is there's also a pathway feature over here. Again, as Alex mentioned, this is sort of a hybrid combination of a credential and badge. So let's say in order to have this certificate of achievement, the learner has gone through certain modules, right? So think of it as sort of smoothing out the learner journey and having everything available in one place in this particular URL, so that a fellow recruiter or maybe you know, a postgraduate program could just access this URL and see their entire journey, right? So it just makes the whole process very easy. And as far as the badges, so I've already clicked again on this here in order to save time. So this is the badge that we're talking about here, exploiting and protecting web applications, the one you see here. And once again, going back to what Alex mentioned, they follow the open badge standards. So these are standards dictated by education bodies in the US, followed globally. And what that essentially means is that every particular badge / micro-credential should have a name, an obtention date, a course overview, ideally a badge picture over here, competencies / skills, sort of the final grading, and then maybe an optional field which could be used to include a personalized link that Stanford chose to do here, or something else that is up to the discretion of the university, right? So there is flexibility over here. However, compared to a custom credential where you've got sort of, so I will be moving this here. Thank you. So yeah, compared to a custom credential where you've got sort of a carte blanche, you could have it completely up to your discretion, right? So the badges do need to have these categories, and just to show you more examples that I have open over here. There we go. So this is another badge. Again, you will see some familiar categories. So you've got a badge picture, a name, obtention date, expiry date is optional, but as Jen mentioned in her presentation, since these are sort of reflections of achievements at a certain point in time, expiration date can be very handy. And again, you've got the outcomes, skills assessment, and then a flexible field over here. Going back to another one, once again, a different format, but you've got the usual suspects once again. So you've got the outcomes, the assessments, the skills, and yeah, not to sound like a broken record, but yeah, I guess you all can see what I mean. So again, outcomes, assessments, and all the good stuff. Another thing, since we are talking eCampusOntario, we are talking Canada, lingual credentials also goes a long way, because you might have students who are bilingual or international students, yeah. So that is also possible. So over here, I've got this trilingual credential, so I could change it to French, and instantly, voila, you've got one in French. Maybe I've got an international student from South America, click on Spanish, and boom. No lag, minimal movement, and very easy to use. Right. Some more examples of credentials. So these are on the less customized sites. As you can see, this is on a BCdiploma domain. So some customers choose to not go all the way in terms of customization. Again, that is completely up to your discretion. Some more templates that we made for Stanford. This one's particularly interesting because you've got program outcomes embedded within the custom credentials. So just goes to show you how flexible these actually are. Another one for the School of Medicine. So right, these are all, sorry, that's a badge. Yeah, so these are all separate master templates designed for the same client in this case. Additionally, again, Jen alluded to this earlier, but the shareability aspect, as I mentioned over here, is super important. So within 2 clicks, you could, or rather the learner could add it to any social media network. There's a QR code, and I actually invite all of you to just click on this right now, use your phones, and yeah, just stress test us in real time if what we say is actually what shows. So click on the QR code and you should be able to access this credential that you see on your screen at the moment. So just going to zoom out in case someone wants to scan this again. Just keep that open for a bit. And when you scan this on your phone, you will notice that the design is very responsive. So again, not everyone might have access to a laptop at every point in time. So you've got a tablet, you've got a phone, you've got any other sort of device. The designs are completely responsive, and they will sort of adapt to the device that you're using, right? And then the proof section, which once again is very important. We do want our credentials to be verifiable and ideally instantly, so that if there's a recruiter opening it and the credential has been shared on the learner's CV, so within 1 click, or rather in this case within 2 clicks, the recruiter would know that this was issued to this person by the institution. And I will not be spending a lot of time on this, but the blockchain aspect, as Alex mentioned, is also important because it's BCdiploma, BC for blockchain, and all the credentials issued by BCdiploma are blockchain by default, by which we mean that it's not just the credential that's issued on the blockchain, it's the data within the credential that's issued on the blockchain. So everything that you see on your screen, all the stuff over here is on a public blockchain, which cannot be tampered with or cannot be modified, which is sort of a security by design that we run here at BCdiploma. As far as these links are URLs that are publicly shareable, as I showed you on LinkedIn. They can be accessible by anyone. There's no need to sort of log in, enter your username, your password. We've seen many providers go that way, but again, as Jen mentioned, we sort of security by design. So yeah, easy access, efficient, crisp, concise, and yeah, just a smooth experience overall. So before I jump into the backend demo, I'll just show you a few more designs. This is for one of our training centers here in France. This is for Schneider, one of our corporate customers. You could have a QR code embedded within the certificate itself, right, if that is needed. Also, another example of a pathway. And oh yeah, I did want to mention this. So just to show you sort of the length and width of a master template, you could have one master template for multiple courses, yeah? So you've got one template over here. this is the same template for a different course and another different course, right? So this has got 2 signatures over here. This has only got 1. And we're back to 2 again, different color coding, right? So these are all the same template, but for different courses. So you also have that flexibility where you don't need to go for n number of templates. If the design permits, you could have different courses within the same master template. This would be a different template. This is a different one, different one, different one. But these 3 are the same. All right, so I did want to jump in the backend. We've got 23 minutes remaining, so let's get to the nitty-gritty of how the process actually works. So in terms of the backend, so this is what it looks like. Let me just clear the filter to show you. Right, so this is an example of a backend. Again, as Jen showed in her presentation, there's a basic dashboard that's available. We could also create an advanced dashboard for you, which shows the number of shares, the number of clicks, likes, etc. And right, so jumping into the backend, there's basically 3 steps where you sort of do everything in the world of digital credentials. So number 1 is you create your template. Number 2 is you use that template to issue the credential. And number 3, which is optional, is you might want to edit the template at a future time, right? So I'm going to show you examples of all of these. And let's start with the template creation. All you have to do is you click on new template, the BCdiploma backend. As I've shown you earlier, you could choose as many languages as you desire. I'll stick with English for this presentation. Keep it simple, go to the next one. And right. So again, these are fields that might be familiar to you because I showed you examples where you've got the course name, the logo / picture, you've got the outcomes, skills, and assessments, right? So once again, we go back to the open badge standards that these categories are mandatory in every particular badge. So let's say I wanted to create a badge here. So I've got some dummy data with me, which I would like to use. So I'm going to call it performance management test. I would need a badge image. So let me just click on modify image and go to performance management. I'm going to use this one. Right, we use Liston University, which is a field we've created at BCdiploma for testing purposes. So in case anyone's curious, in terms of outcomes, I've also prepared some dummy data to save time. So here I am, some generic course outcomes in terms of competencies. So going to go back, maybe include a couple, not all of them. So go here. Fundamentals of economics, and maybe what else do I want? Oh, why? Maybe fundamentals of finance is looking good here. All right, going to add here. So it's really that simple, right? So I've added these. Now in terms of assessment, once again, we go here and right. So just include some dummy data, some continuous assessment results, some final exam results. Then you've got a link label option to include maybe a customizable link. Maybe you'd want the learner or the employer to be directed to your own website, to a verifier website maybe. So something along those lines. Component of is an interesting one because it's like the flexible field that I showed you earlier, right? So you could modify it to your liking. I'm just going back. Let's say I would like to modify it to the number of ECTS credits that this person has gained. Now, ECTS is popular in Europe, so probably not very relatable in Canada, but yeah, just for simplicity reasons, I will include that here. Right, and so all my essential fields are done. I've got the option of also including a partner endorsement or partner logo. So let's say this particular module was co-branded, right? There was a corporate partner or maybe another university. So what I would like to do is, once again, click to upload, just have my logo ready over here. And I should be good to go. I could include a URL, again, optional, but I've got all the essentials. I click on next. And now I've got this sort of skull and bones template ready. I could sort of edit it again, not to jump ahead, but to show you what the edit options are. You could have it in 1 column, 2 columns, 3 columns, right? Change the style. I fancy the color green today, so maybe I'll go for green. Yeah, and then maybe increase the font size over here. So yeah, I've just got all of these options to customize my badge template. And as Alex mentioned, we are restricted to having these sort of core categories. But as you can see, in spite of those, these badges are, you know, extremely customizable. So just go to validate creation, and just like that, I should have a template ready. I will refresh my page. And magic, my template is ready, and I can start issuing credentials to my learners. Just to go to see, and here we are. Here's all the green that I edited towards the end, all the other categories that we created together. I will be closing that, and I will be moving to step number 2, which is the issuance part, right? Because you want this to be issued to your learners. And for that, as Alex mentioned earlier, it's extremely simple. You use an XLS or an Excel file, which I have open over here. So as you can see, it's very simple. You've got a serial number, email address, first name, last name, obtention date, expiry date. Again, some very basic data in an Excel file, very layman friendly, edit proof. So yeah, could not get simpler than that. And this is the file I will be using for my batch export. In order to do that, I will go to this template I've just created, click on new campaign, and it should ask me to get my badge import file. The badge import file is exactly what I showed you 2 seconds ago. I could see a preview of the credentials. So yeah, this is issued to me on this particular date, and this will expire on the 10th of December 2025. Everything looks good, and I would like to publish my credentials. In order to do that, I would go here, click on publish, and just like that, I've got my credentials ready and good to go. So within a few seconds, you've essentially issued your credentials to multiple learners. I've shown you examples of 5. This number could be 50, 500, or 5,000, right? Completely up to your discretion. We've been stress tested up to dozens of thousands of badge imports, and as far as I'm aware, we haven't seen any issues, or delays rather. Now, I could choose all of them and send it to my learners by email. I could export them as PDFs. I could disable them, revoke them, right? I could send them one by one, which is interesting in small cohorts. So you've got a particular student working on a particular module. In that case, you might want to send it to them one by one. So, which is something we see in edge cases, not the norm. And right, so essentially my report is ready. I would like to refresh the report and show you another element. Right, So in the report, as you can see, the first 4 are published, but the last one shows expired. And it's again, moving this here. And as you can see, I can view the other ones, but the expired credential is not viewable. And the reason for that is for Mr. George Madison, the expiry date was 12th of July 2025, which was 10 days ago. So as you can see, if a credential is expired, it would no longer be visible. So just to show you how that aspect works in real time. Now, that is essentially how you would go about creating a badge template, issuing badges, right? Editing the template. We've seen all the nitty-gritty over here. As far as custom templates like these are concerned, so as the name goes, these are custom designs. So the way this would work is your team would be sending us these custom designs, which our designers here at BCdiploma would be replicating and making them available in your BCdiploma instance. And you would be able to just move to the process of issuance, right? So there's no creation process in that sense. In that sense for custom designs, because as the name goes, these are custom designs, so these would have to be replicated, and our team would have to sort of make them available for you in your BCdiploma instance. An example of a master template is over here. So just going to do this. Oops. So sorry. Right. So the caret symbol over here implies all the data fields that are customizable, right? So the completion date, first name, last name. So within the master template, all of these fields are customizable. And you've also got the program name, of course. And once you have this data ready, in order to issue custom certificates, very simple, we click on New Campaign again. In this case, I choose a different file. Just to white box the whole process, I will show you what this file contains. There you go. Again, simple Excel data in a very generic format, right? Only with a completion date. For these certificates, we do not have an expiry date. And I could see the preview of my custom credential. And here we are. For the DC fans, you probably find these names familiar. All right, so there we go. Right, so in order to publish my custom credentials, all I would have to do is go to publish, click on those, and I'm good to go. And just like for my micro-credentials / badges, I can choose the same format to share these with my learners, right? So lots of information, but I believe it made sense, sort of, as to how the backend functions today. And what I would like to do right now is ask Alex to just sort of go back to sharing the presentation. And yeah, we could just finalize the last few slides and crack on with some questions after that. Thank you, Alex. Right, so a lifelong instantly, right. Perfect. Thank you, Alex. Right, so lifelong instantly verifiable credential, fancy language for saying that once the credential has been issued, it exists in perpetuity. You are not married to BCdiploma in any way, shape, or form. 1 year goes on and you decide that you'd like to move to another supplier or sort of end the project altogether. You have the flexibility. The credentials that have been issued will continue to exist regardless of whether you decide to continue with BCdiploma. So there's that again, going back to the decentralized aspect. In terms of learner empowerment, so right. as I showed you earlier from the LinkedIn example. So there's engagement, because you've got one, the shareability aspect, and second, the pathway aspect, which sort of is an element of the learner journey. You know exactly where this person started and where this person's at the moment. Secondly, again, going back to the full ownership aspect, once a credential has been issued with BCdiploma, it will exist in perpetuity, right? Unless, of course, there's an expiry date. In terms of visibility, right, so 70% is basically the rough estimate that we've seen in terms of the credentials that have been shared. So what this practically means is the institution has sent it to the learners, and 70% of those learners have shared these credentials online. And yeah, essentially what this ensures is that your program gets a lot of free peer-to-peer marketing. It sort of enhances your brand, especially with the white labeling aspect, which I talked about. So if you've got your domain and there's no explicit mention of BCdiploma on a person's screen, it's your brand that is highlighted, and which is extremely important. Again, the ease of use, which you've seen practically, how easy it is to just within a few clicks verify, share, and understand what this learner has gained. In terms of the users, Stanford, U Toronto Continuing Studies, who I believe had a lot of cost savings, something in the ballpark of 170,000 Canadian dollars, if memory serves me correctly. With Stanford, yeah, we recently did a case study with them, and they had seen approximately one full-time equivalent of an employee in terms of time savings, and in terms of costs, it was monumental, like approximately 90%, as the case study says. In terms of other customers, as Alex mentioned, quite widespread, quite global, training centers, sort of higher education, and not to yeah, toot our own horn again and again, but yeah, you get the gist of it. In terms of what the sandbox entails, is you get the white labeling aspect, so you get access to one master template, and as I've shown you, a master template is very flexible, so you could use it for multiple courses at your university. You get micro credentials, which are the badges, of course. You also get the pathway feature, which is again the hybrid between the custom credential and the badges. And lastly, all of this for 300 learners. When I say 300 learners, I am saying that you can issue unlimited certificates and badges per learner. And yeah, all of this is available at a very high cost of $0 for 1 year. So right, just to highlight that aspect. In terms of the implementation, again, Alex could probably enlighten you more on this, but we've seen an average of 5 days, more on the lesser side, but this is a conservative estimate, in which we are able to sort of assess your needs and go live. And in terms of how you register for this sandbox, I believe the eCampus team has already included the link, but Alex, if you could just click on the link, let's go to it live. Lovely. Perfect. So at the top right corner, you've got the second option, which is a pilot tool, which is what you will be clicking on. And then if you scroll down, description, features, costs again, 0 for the period of 12 months for your sandbox, and everything else is sort of in relation to what I've already mentioned. And yeah, this could be interesting if you'd like to share it with some colleagues, sort of spread it internally within the team. And that will be all. I believe I have yapped a lot, and I will send it back to Alex. Thank you for your time and for your attention. Cheers.
Thanks a lot, Kostub. Thanks a lot for the demo. Thanks everyone for your participation. So I hope you enjoyed well, the presentation of BCdiploma, Jen's testimonial, and we have some minutes left in case we have questions in the chat. So Michael, I don't know if you wanted to drive the Q&A session, or otherwise we can.
Sure, Alexis. I'm going to just end the recording here so we can have some open discussion. Thank you all for joining us today. And if you have to hop off, appreciate your time joining us this morning.